special guest is Jill Hatch. Welcome, Jill.
Thanks, Amy.
So glad to have you. Jill has a business called Be Well with Jill. She's a certified wellness practitioner and national board health and wellness coach. She promotes wellness in her community and she helps people understand that well-being is actively caring for yourself in positive ways in all areas of your life. Applying her framework, poised, and a unique form of information medicine referred to as neuromodulation technique, she gives and gathers information to help others find balance and to move forward and take action in their desired purpose. Okay, well, Jill, I just want to explain for a minute that Jill and I met. I started a painting business about a year ago, which I'm not doing anymore. But, anyways, and she reached out to me, and I started painting a room in her home, and we just hit it off right away. It was really fun. And she was telling me about her business, and I told her I have a podcast and how I wanted her to be on it someday. So here she is.
Finally, huh? It's taken a while.
This is awesome.
Busy schedules.
Yes. Jill, will you explain to our viewers how you got started in your business?
Wow. Where do you start? I didn't mean to have it really start as a business. It just started first in self-care for myself 15 years ago.
Okay.
And then what I do primarily is what I used for my own health and wellness journey that I felt like was one of the biggest modalities that helped me the most.
Mm-hmm.
And a handful of years ago, I actually lost a baby. And after I lost her, I was um, kind of wondering what I should do with life. And so I went to this doctor that does NMT, and he suggested that I go learn and train in NMT. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. So I just jumped in and went and learned so that I could help my family and friends. And then as it's working for people, and I knew it would because it's worked for me for all these years, um, it's just, I'm just having people show up that have been strangers and then they're coming. So I'm like, oh, I guess I better start something. Like,
Yeah,
so that's how it started.
I love
So
it.
yeah.
Can you explain to us what NMT is?
Yeah. So NMT is neurological modulation technique. Leslie Feinberg is who wrote it. He's very passionate about it and has been doing it for years. And we use a form of muscle testing to communicate with the body. So basically it's information medicine that we give and gather
Okay.
from your body using muscle testing. So have you ever done muscle testing?
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't, for me, it doesn't really work. I'm more of an intuitive. So I just ask
Yeah.
God, what,
So I'm going to just show you
yeah.
so that
Okay.
people can
Please.
see like how the muscles
Let
work.
people.
And so like muscles tell truth or like give a positive or a negative response.
Yes.
And so when we're asking for the intention of truth or non-truth, our muscles can give us that.
Okay.
So, okay, hold up your arm for me, just like
Of
strong.
course.
Okay. And I want you to just be really strong. Okay.
Okay.
And I want you to think in your mind of a truth.
Okay.
Okay. So you have it. So
Yes.
one of your truths. Okay. So now I'm going to push down really hard. Don't let me.
Okay.
Okay, got it?
Yes.
All right, now I want you to think of a lie.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And like it really works every time.
Yeah.
You just can't fight it. And so using that kind of a philosophy,
Yeah.
it's a little bit different looking in NMT, but we rate the body 0 to 1,000
Yes.
of what their body is perceiving as happening. So if you say you have a stomach ache and you've had it for a really long time, we will have you fill out like forms that will go in and be like, is it gastrointestinal? Is it hormonal? Is it metabolic? And then it will flag by pattern of what other people have gone through. But then we can ask your body directly, what burden is this? So, for example, stomach acid might be flagged. And so we would ask your body what rate that burden is 0 to 1,000. And so if it's 1,000, then that means you have issues with stomach acid. And then we can go through and ask your body, what kind of things do you need to be able to correct that stomach acid? Because we have an innate ability to heal ourselves. And that's the philosophy behind NMT.
Yes.
Is that when we are stuck in a health issue that we've had for a long time and we're trying really hard to get over it,
Right.
whether that's an emotional one, a physical one, even a spiritual one, and we're just stuck in a pattern or we can't seem to find that like right answer.
Yes.
the body seems to kind of know like
Yeah.
what's happening. And so we can ask and say, hey, is a medication going to benefit you the most? Is a supplement? Is a
Okay.
change in your food? And then we can even go as far as to find out what that food is.
Okay.
So I've had, I just give this example, but I've had 3 men that came in at different times
Okay.
with some stomach issues. And so testing them,
Mhm.
um, for that same issue, like one was a little bit of an allergy to a food he had to cut out for a while.
Okay.
And he cut it out and then he was able to put it back in after his body got the information from NMT. And then another one, it was like, you need a vehicle of medication for a minute.
Okay.
And so he went to his doctor to get that medication. So
Okay.
information medicine just is kind of a way to help you write your own health journey a little bit too,
Yeah.
so that you can not have to second guess over and over. Do I go to the dermatologist? Do I go to the allergy doctor? Do I go, where do I go? Like NMT will ask your body. And it doesn't matter to me. I don't care if you're going to the dermatologist or the allergist. So it's really cool because I've seen a lot of good information.
Okay.
And then sometimes in these patterns when they're stuck, it's like Dr. Feinberg's written these protocols that are very medically written on a cellular, molecular, different levels, and we'll go in and we'll test different things like if it is emotional or chemical, can be toxins, can be neurological. There's just lots of different things that can have our body be
Okay.
out of balance. And so using the muscle testing, we try to find where that imbalance is. We
Okay.
give it medical information of how it can innately heal itself, and then we also proactively make a plan
Okay.
that you can do to help it innately heal itself with all the other modalities out there.
Oh, I love that.
So,
Okay.
mhm.
I'm going to stop for a second and just explain something. So you're going to be cutting this out. But
Okay. Okay.
okay. I just remembered that okay, so to be more specific about what I meant. Yes, I this body testing does work and when I stand and lean
Yeah.
forward and backward. I meant okay, I forget this because I do more of the emotional stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And so when I took a class and I was doing this, she goes, this is how you test to be short. It just, I'm like, this is not working for me. So that part doesn't, to get answers. But I just says, well, I just
Gotcha.
ask God. And he tells me, she goes, oh, okay, then you're an intuitive. And so that way, that's how I do it.
I
But,
see.
but I do agree sometimes, even when I'm doing the emotional stuff, like my body will, I'll just breathe heavy and it's connecting, saying that as to
Yeah.
give it validation that that was correct, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So,
I just asked because a lot of people don't even know about muscle testing at all.
yes.
So where
Okay.
you've done it, that's not, I just meant like, have you ever done it at all?
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Because
So,
a lot haven't, right?
well, the reason why we're cutting all that out, because
Why? That's a good show. You don't want to keep that in?
no.
Sure. When you're editing, decide.
Yeah.
So we're all about learning how to do a podcast here.
I don't know. Maybe it's my perfectionism coming in. But, anyways, because
It's
then I
100% your perfectionism queen.
to go back and explain that, oh, yeah, when I sway and do this and the breathing,
Okay,
that's the thing.
Sid. I'm so keeping this.
I'll think about it. Anyways.
I know. It is really good on like I feel like on a podcast when you're just real.
Just to be real.
And so like
Okay.
Yeah.
because
All right.
people connect more that they're just like, "Oh, I understood that
Okay,
wrong."
thank you.
But
Thank you. I
I'm
know.
also a perfectionist, so I get both sides here.
I like that. So, anyways, yeah. So I do get the. Okay. So thank
Yeah.
you for explaining that in a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
I mean,
So yeah, so people that are, listening, they can be like, "Oh, I don't know anything about muscle testing." So I
that's
actually
true.
use muscle testing as a lie detector test for my kids. And it
Yes,
so
I love that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So one of those stories was my son and daughter are teenagers and they had AirPods and my daughter was like, "Jed has my AirPods." And I'm like, anyway, they were kind of fighting about it. So I'm like, "Did you have our AirPods?" He's like, "No, I don't have them." I'm like, "Well, let me test you." And so I had him put his arm out and he did. He was lying. And so then there was like a little while later
Yeah.
and he had her AirPods.
Yeah.
And she came up and she's like, "He has my AirPods." But in his mind, he was going to cheat and make it so I couldn't do this to him. And so he set him like on the couch or something.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "I swear, I do not have her AirPods. You can muscle test me."
Oh, that's funny.
So I asked him and I said, "Have you had her AirPods in the last 24 hours?" And he's like, "Dang it,
He's like, she has
Mom."
specific.
Yeah. And he failed and he did have them. So,
That is so funny.
so yeah,
Oh my
they get
gosh.
mad at me because they're just like,
Yes.
"Nope." You're not gonna.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so true. No,
Okay.
but yeah, but I do agree that like, because sometimes maybe I think, oh, I think maybe I got that answer from God, or but then sometimes maybe I wasn't quietly, in tune, and so if I do use the swing of the body, or the other methods of breathing and all that, then it does work. Yeah, then the
Yeah.
body is kind of like another confirmation. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So.
So yeah, then thank you. Um, so could you tell us a little bit more about your the poised method now, and what does that stand for?
Yeah, so
Right.
Be Well with Jill, you're going to find for me, I use acronyms like crazy.
Yeah.
And I've been told, don't use acronyms. It's a turnoff to a lot of people. And one thing I've learned is you really just need to be true to yourself.
Yeah.
And I had a feeling one time of just like, go back and look at your patterns, like of
Yeah.
all your writings you've ever done.
Yeah.
And I went back and I'm like, man, I use acronyms a lot. Okay. So I'm the acronym girl. You're going to get it from me. If you hear me, if you see my stuff, you're going to see acronyms. It's not going away. It is part of being uniquely me.
I love it.
But so Be Well with Jill, BEE, is
Uh-huh.
balance, embrace, and enjoy. And
Oh,
those are
wonderful.
because the three things that I feel like are really important for me and that I would love to help teach people or help
Okay.
people and guide people through.
Okay.
So balance is
Uh-huh.
the first one, right?
Okay.
When you think of somebody who is poised,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think of?
Oh boy. I forget what the word means, so I'm like, oh shoot, I don't know. I can't think of.
So a lot of times you think poised, you're thinking very like sophisticated, like a woman who's just like,
Okay, that's kind of what
I
was coming
am
to my mind.
like
But
they got good posture, they're all put together,
yeah,
they're very poised.
yeah,
And but so poise
yeah.
means balance and
Okay.
self-composure and self-assured. You're
Yeah.
self-assured and balance. When you add a D to that,
Okay.
okay? So
Yeah.
poised.
Okay.
So all right, sorry, I gotta go back just a little bit.
You're good.
Poise in my acronym for
Okay.
POISE
Mhm.
is the 6 domains of wellness. So a lot of
Okay.
people have heard of the 6 domains of wellness, but some haven't.
What?
So
I don't
through,
think so.
yeah, it's crazy because it's been such a part of my whole life.
Yeah.
Like I think I learned it in high school,
Yeah.
and
It was
some,
just labeled differently.
yeah.
I
So
got
they call it
that,
the wholeness wheel. They call it the balance wheel. There's,
okay.
depending on how you study it, 6 to 8 areas of wellness. Okay, so in poised, it's physical,
Okay.
so this is the acronym. Okay.
Okay.
Physical, occupational, intellectual, social, emotional, and then your divine spiritual purpose. So
Okay.
spiritual, but I've coined it as divine spiritual purpose.
Okay.
So poise
Yes.
is balance, right?
Okay.
When
Gotcha.
you add your D to it,
Mhm.
which I like to refer to as the dash in our life,
Yeah.
what we're going to do with our life, our purpose, our divine spiritual purpose.
Mhm.
When you put the definition to poised, it's moving forward.
Oh,
So I think that's a really key thing that I like
yes.
to help people find, like, what is it that your purpose is?
Yeah.
And so we go through this Be Well plan or the
Okay.
Be Poised plan of finding
Okay.
balance in all those areas and your purpose, because that's what will help you move forward to your divine purpose.
Wonderful.
So that helps with the balance part of Be Well with Jill.
Okay.
So,
I love that. That's
yeah.
fabulous. Um, okay, and there's a couple other things that modules use, right? Did you say?
The modalities.
Modalities, excuse me.
Yeah, so mostly NMT, but well, that's not true. So how I do it with
Yeah.
people is I've explored a lot of stuff of alternative care
Right.
through all my things. So one of the other parts of B
Yeah.
is embracing.
Okay.
And we're all given a body and not one is the same.
Yeah.
But we kind of sometimes treat it like we can go to one doctor that gives us the same medications for the same thing, right?
Yes.
And so but embracing what we've been given and trying to still improve upon it
Yeah.
is a really big thing
Uh-huh.
for what I'd like to like even do for myself, right? We have these internal struggles that we all go through, and and a lot of times it's around our body,
Yes,
and
I
and
agree.
we're fighting something, and
Mhm.
sometimes that's a physical thing
Yeah.
because we were given DNA that has diabetes running through the family,
Yeah.
or we are given DNA that has an emotional component where we have depression, or there's all these things. And so to help embrace that,
Mhm.
and now I can't remember why I spun into that question. So, but but
Because I asked you about.
oh, the modalities that I use. Yeah. And so when we're doing testing for people,
Huh?
it's very unique
Yes.
because I gather all the resources. So like I know you now are doing like toxic foot baths to release toxins,
Yes.
not toxic
Oh,
foot baths.
I know. Where's
To-
the toxins in your
yes,
body now?
to release toxins. And
Yes.
I have used that before and I do love that modality sometimes. And so if someone were to come to me and we were doing their NMT
Yes.
and it came that they had toxins,
Uh-huh.
then now that I know you do that, I would say, would a toxin bath or a
You're
what do
good.
you call it?
Foot bath.
A foot bath.
Ionic,
Would a
ionic foot bath.
ionic foot bath benefit your body? And then their body will respond, and it might be 1,000. And I say, oh, here's Amy's stuff. Go to Amy.
Right.
So, do I do the modality? No, not all of them.
Yes.
So I
Okay.
do use now what's called phototherapy, which is like patches that you put on the skin that it's similar to acupuncture,
Okay.
and Chinese medicine
Okay.
kind of uses these patches. So I do that for some things now also, but that's the
Okay.
only like modality I actually do like service for my like that I serve clients.
Okay.
Other than that, it's more information
Right.
giving and gathering.
I love
Yeah.
that. I
So
love that because what you're doing is you're empowering your clients more,
yes.
because really we're in charge of our life, and sometimes when you go to a doctor, they may not always know what you need at that time, but we really, our bodies know, like you
Yeah.
said. We really do.
Well, and it's been a really cool journey as I have like
Mhm.
started this business because even my nurse practitioner that I go to for some of the medical things here and there, just check labs and things, she's referred some people to me to do some muscle testing to get some answers so that they can move forward in their journey. And so I feel like it's a way, like information medicine and what I'm doing is a way to kind of um like weave all the things together because we do need all of it. Like there's kind of sometimes it's like, oh, you're in alternative care or you're Western care and you can't do both, or you're
Yeah.
holistic and and you can't do both. But sometimes the other's needed.
Right. I agree.
And
Yes.
so to find that balance,
Yes.
we have to look at all those things for people. And so I just help them gather their own information. And it's really empowering to people, actually. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Wow.
So,
So if you've had clients come back and tell you, the results, I'm just curious. Or
oh, NMT, there, I could sit here and tell you stories all day. You would just be in awe of things that have happened for people. Sometimes there's like an immediate,
Yeah.
like healing that happens. And sometimes there is like layers like an onion. It just keeps peeling, and so they'll keep coming. And for me with NMT, like I knew it was something that no matter what ebb and flow came in my life,
Yeah.
it was going to help me find some balance in dealing and embracing
Yes.
that experience that I was having. So whether it was getting diagnosed with an autoimmune disease and then dealing with that and then figuring out how I want to heal from it,
Right.
and or even as simple as like I had a wart,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and I go and have NMT do this, or,
Yeah.
an emotional thing. It just always was something that I
Okay.
could rely on. So,
Yeah.
so yes, I will see people. Sometimes they'll come 3, 4, 5 times in a row
Mhm.
because they can feel it in themselves.
Yeah.
And other times I see somebody once and I don't see him ever again.
Yeah.
And sometimes I see him once and then I don't see him for like
Yeah.
long time.
A while.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Will
and
you,
I never know. Sometimes I think people come and they're like, that didn't work for me.
yeah.
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 So
Will you give me
that's
a
okay.
couple of examples of people,
Yeah, let's see which ones would you want? There's quite a few. So I'll just give you an example of like some teenage girls with anxiety. So I've treated three different girls. Well, sorry, I don't say treat. I shouldn't say treat. That's not right. Um, I've worked with three different girls
Okay.
and they all came because of anxiety
Okay.
issues around the same age,
Okay.
teenager. And they, as we're doing muscle testing
Yeah.
and we're trying to figure out why they have this issue. So,
Okay.
one severity of like not even wanting to go to school because of the concerns of like a school shootout or something,
Yeah.
just
Right.
couldn't do it. And maybe ending up like in a parent's bed sleeping when they're older, because they're just so scared, or
Yeah.
on the floor in their parents' room. um, or not being able to study at school because they're just so anxious about everything that's going on. So these few girls that showed up doing their testing,
Okay.
um, one came back as a neurological issue. So as we find out that it's a neurological issue, then the pathway that was written was all about the brain. And so we go in and we muscle test where in the brain there's an issue
Okay.
and where it is having an imbalance. And
Okay.
then we read to that part of the brain how to balance that back, basically how to fix that issue,
Okay.
and give it an intent to fix it. And so that was a neurological
Okay.
issue that she had.
Okay.
The other girl came and hers was a toxin buildup, that she was actually getting
Uh-huh.
toxins from a deodorant that she was using
Uh-huh.
that was causing some irregularities in her body, and
Mhm.
also maybe some other toxins
Yeah.
that were just building up in the wrong place in her body. And we don't need to
Yeah.
know where that is because the body knows where it is. But
Right.
so hers was a toxic release and she got sick for like 3 days. It
Oh,
was really like purging, like
yeah.
in what she
Yeah.
maybe would have thought was the flu, but purged those toxins. And then the third one was an emotional one
Okay.
because some of her background from when she was growing up.
Yeah.
And so hers was a little bit more layered. We had to like do some more things to get hers to kick. But all three of them have had way less anxiety and some none at all. Like
Wow.
there was one girl, she's like, I don't know what you did for me, your weird little like brainy thing. So she said,
Yeah.
and she's like, but I just am like a different person. And so, as a young teenage girl, that's pretty awesome that they could figure that out. So,
Yes.
I mean, our body just does have the innate ability to heal itself for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool when we can put that information to our body to do it.
Yes.
So,
Yes. That's wonderful. I love that.
yeah.
And there another that you had? I can't remember.
Oh, so balance, embrace, and enjoy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Balance person.
Yeah. So sometimes I think when we're out of balance in these areas, like for poised,
Yeah.
okay. So in those areas, if we are only focused on our physical, which we tend to do as a culture, right? We're gonna exercise and we're going to eat right.
Yeah.
And we kill ourselves in like,
Some-
we're gonna go do, this boot camp and we're gonna do it and I'm gonna just be so, and then you get you fell,
Yeah.
and or not necessarily fell, because I think everything you do is not a failure. Everything
Yeah.
you do is teaching you something.
Right.
But we don't keep going. We don't move forward.
Yeah.
And this is why I think this is, when I was teaching my kids about this, my son said, yeah, mom, and if you take the D away and you put an N, it's poison. Granted, it doesn't spell it quite correctly, but
Right.
it
Right.
makes the sound poison, the word poison,
Yeah.
and poison slowly kills you.
Right.
So, isn't that interesting? If we only focus on our physical
That's true.
and we do nothing in any of the other areas of our life, that we could feel like we're slowly dying,
Yeah.
which we can. Like we're like, oh my gosh, I'm on this gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, grain-free, grain-free
Right.
diet,
Yeah.
and you're just like miserable because you're with your friends and they're going out and they're eating whatever, or whatever. And there's a balance between that too, right? Finding what is really best for you, but enjoying your journey while you're doing it, you
Yeah.
know?
I love
So,
that. That's
yeah.
wonderful. I think that is really important to focus on all of the aspects of your life because,
Yeah.
like you said, you won't be balanced if you're
Yeah.
not.
And I feel like I feel like our life is to learn that.
Yeah.
We're going to be learning how to be poised
Yeah.
through our whole life till we're not here anymore. And how important it is to be able, though, when you're in these high stress situations,
Yeah.
to step back and be like, okay, what area am I putting too much emphasis on and what area am I not putting enough on? Because there's probably going to be some, and they intertwine, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
with each other. And so you can maybe do one thing that helps balance that the other way.
Right.
But so yeah, in enjoying your journey too,
Yes.
because I know there's just times when you're working, like for me, when I've worked so hard on my physical like self-care of like, oh my heck, I have
Yeah.
I just got diagnosed with this. And so then I read all about it and I like go way into it. And then I'm like, I gotta eat this and I can't eat this and I've gotta, and then I just get so, it's just not,
Yeah.
I just wasn't finding joy in that,
Right.
as much as if I still like to study that.
Yeah.
So my husband teases me like, cause he likes to hunt and
Yeah.
it's his hobby. And
Yeah.
so he will talk about it a lot. And that's what he talks with all of his friends about.
Yeah.
And he's like, health and wellness is like a hobby for you. And like, it just is what I like to do.
Yeah.
I read a lot. I study it a lot. Like it's my choice of what I would do with my time is trying to figure out
Yes.
okay, what is that modality and why does it do that? And what benefit does it give? And would that benefit me? And so sometimes I'll go try it or,
Yeah.
whatever. So
I love what
yeah.
you're doing to find joy in life. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
So
I know I was going to say, I had a thought about, I love what you're doing because we are all different. Because one time my friend went with her daughter to see an iridologist and she had a bunch of candida in her. And so she, you know, gave her this that method of how to get rid of the candida. And then for me, I started thinking, well, maybe I need to do that the very same method. And I started doing it, and I'm like, wait a minute, because one of them was taking away fruits. Like the processes was, taking away a whole bunch of stuff and just eating a couple things, and then slowly every 2 weeks bringing things in, right? Well, one of them was fruit, taking away at the beginning, and I was getting constipated. I'm like, what is going on here? And I realized I'm like, well, I haven't been eating fruit. So I started eating fruit and I was feeling better. So when I went to see the iridologist, she's like, oh, not everybody needs that diet to get rid of candida. There's different protocols. And then she helped me, realized what I needed for my body for to get rid of candida and stuff. And so I love that, like, we're all different. We don't need to, like, just because one person needs that method doesn't mean that the other person needs that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I love that there's different.
Well, and for years I had some blood work that would come back that
Yeah.
is a pattern of is a very common pattern.
Yeah.
And so I'd have doctors say, "Well, you need this medication." But intuitively in my heart,
Yeah.
I knew that it wasn't. And I felt like there was like I
Yes.
wasn't diagnosed right. Like cuz diagnosis is just is like a book of,
Yeah.
da 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 da. And it
Yeah.
is can be helpful, but it also can be detrimental to us for that reason.
Right.
Because we're like, "Oh, do I have candida? Oh, I do." And then you're almost giving your body the information that you have it, and so then is your body listening to you saying,
That.
oh, I've got this issue? And so there's that too about reframing and
That's
coaching
true.
your body that just because you got diagnosed with something, if your heart's telling you that doesn't feel right, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Like you know more than the doctor knows. The doctors are there to help.
Yes.
And
That's true.
I have had to teach go through that where um, every medical doctor, in my belief that is there,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to say most medical doctors, they love what they do.
Yeah. Right.
And if they don't, they should switch it and
Yeah. Exactly.
get the heck
Do
out
it
of there,
right.
right? But they're there because they want to help people. And they've gained knowledge too that is very vital to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go to a doctor, you take their strength and their knowledge, but then you don't have to keep every page of that book
Mm-hmm.
to say this is right for me, right? Like
Right.
this diet that you did. You
Exactly.
and so that's why information medicine can be really cool, is because it can be like, well, okay, so is there candida issue? There is. Is it a diet, or is it a lifestyle change, or is it something in your environment, like
Yeah.
where you can kind of hone into it more for an individual?
I love that.
So,
I might be making an appointment with you.
yeah.
Because you go deeper, just not on the physical, the emotional. You ask
Yeah.
a lot. So, what are some of the questions you would ask?
Well, and so when people come, they usually come with what they're stuck in, right?
Okay.
And so, okay, I'm going to give this example of, well, let's see, that was maybe not that one.
Yeah.
Let me think here. I'm just trying to think which one would give you the best answer to that. Because it's always different. I get so many different,
Okay.
things, but okay, a physical one where a girl had been arm wrestling her dad. This
Okay.
happened quite a while ago, and
Okay.
she hurt her arm. She couldn't lift it. So she had been to a couple practitioners that were trying to help her, and it wasn't what. Well, the mom was just like, I just don't know what to do. Could you do NMT for her?
Okay.
And so and this was like kind of when I was first new to doing it for other people.
Uh-huh.
So we're doing it just in her front room with the moms making bread and whatever. Anyway,
Okay.
and as we're going through it, her thing that was the problem. So we say the problem, which is you're transformed from state in NMT,
Mm-hmm.
and it is what's happening that you don't want to be happening. So she's like, I can't lift my arm. I can't move it past here, without pain. And so that's the transform from state. So then we put in what the transform to state is. And she actually said, when I asked the girl, she's like, that I could move it and do a cartwheel. And so that's what she said. That was her transform to state. And this was one that even surprised me because I was just learning and I was like, wow, that was super powerful.
Yeah.
But as we went, we asked the body, and the body takes you to these protocols. I don't have them memorized. There's several of them, like a lot.
Yeah.
And depending on where it is, and you just muscle test and it takes you there.
Okay.
And so it took us to one called sensory motor.
Okay.
Which is a pathway that, works with your senses.
Okay.
And through that came like there was a nerve disconnection. And so we just gave the body the information of how it could maybe work around that nerve.
Okay.
And I haven't like written that. That's it's it's a protocol already done. But as we were reading through that protocol, by the end, she got up and did a cartwheel. And her dad came home and he was like, what the heck? Like, what did you do? And he teases. He's like, what voodoo did you do to my daughter? But it works,
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's very obvious like that. And it has been really obvious.
Yeah.
And then other times, like I said, because your body might have something you don't even know is going on. And then the information might be fixing it first before it comes with the actual problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Does that answer that better? So, and then usually after like we've applied an NMT to people, when it's happening, things will pop up in your head. Like they'll come up. Okay. So for example, I had a girl who, I was working with her, a good friend of mine, and she has had paralysis where when she would exercise, she would kind of go into paralysis.
Yeah.
And so we applied an NMT and it came back as a post-traumatic stress like issue. And she's like, oh, I totally know what it is. But as we did the NMT, other things came to her emotionally that she knew were actually the issue. And when she was able to release them. And I got just a little video from her like a week later where she's just like, I'm out running and my body's doing it. And she's just been moving forward in her purpose of, teaching moms how to survive. and so it was cool to see, like to see that she's able to move on to her purpose from an NMT session. And so, there's lots of stuff like that.
So satisfying and fulfilling to know you're helping people, and when you hear these stories.
Yeah. So I think that's why it, for a business part for me, I would just do it for people all the time. Like, like if it were just my choice and I didn't have all these other things to balance. Right. But it's time and it's so to open the business and to do that has been a little bit surprising because it's not like I was like, oh, I'm going to open a business doing this. Or it's just evolved on its own. So
I love it.
Yeah.
So, can you do any of this over the internet, like Zoom, or does it have to be in person? Everything.
So I like to start people in person if they have never done alternative care or muscle testing or energy work or like foot zoning or anything like that, because it can be a lot. And in fact, there are some people that I can tell when they've sat in my chair that they're not ready. They're not ready for an information medicine. It's way past what they haven't dove into anything alternatively. But once somebody's established, then absolutely. Okay. And I just use myself to muscle test through them. It's kind of like,
they don't always have to be there where you're
because it's like when you meet somebody for the first time, there's sometimes you meet somebody you're just like, oh, and you feel that and it gives you a negative like feeling. And then there's times where you meet somebody you're just like, oh my gosh, I just love you.
Yeah, you just kind of
let's not paint. Let's play. And so there is that, and so that's how that would work virtually. And so I have helped people. Like I had a client that was in Florida that have, so
wonderful
work, but I like to be in person, so
I do too. I
like to encourage people.
I know what you mean. I think it's more you connect more. You like you said, you can just hit it off easier. You can tell whether you do or not. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your business and
I don't know. So part of that is like I'm happy to come on here because I want to like be able to spread the Be Poised plan. I just really think there is such good things. Like we we've as a family had like a lot of stress and stuff going on in all the elements of.
Yeah.
I have kids 18 to 3, right? 5
Yeah.
of them. And we're very busy. We have a lot of things happening,
Yeah.
and I just felt like things were going like in chaos for a minute.
Yeah.
And so the other night I sat down with one of my teenage sons and I was like, let's just go through
Mm-hmm.
Be Poised. And let me just ask you for yourself where you're at in these areas. And it
Okay.
was just a really um, very good conversation with a 16-year-old to
Yeah.
have him evaluate like where are you in your occupational wellness, because occupational wellness is like all the hats you wear. And so like what's the thing that you feel like you're the best in? Well, I feel like I'm a good friend,
Yeah.
and so to tell me why that is. And and then we were talking about different physical goals he has and different school goals for intellectual, and so
Yeah.
it was really good to like
Yeah.
use that. And so I think that, I don't know, that's what I want to do. So part of my business is that I want to see grow is being able to go present
Mhm.
at places like even to employers, for employers to their workers, and do like a workshop on actual poised in
Okay.
the areas that I've learned there, because we all have our strengths, right? And I'm not gonna be the one that's physical training you. As you can see, it's my weakness.
Yeah.
It's something I don't do, but I do have really good references that I
Yeah.
say, hey, go see this person. They will help you in that area. But there are a lot of things that because it is such a hobby for me, I
Right.
have a lot of stuff that I love to share.
Yeah.
And so I would love to be able to grow that part where I'm actually doing like workshops at
Love that.
or speaking engagements about, poised and
Yeah.
finding balance and stuff. So that's like
Have you done some
I do.
speaking engagements?
So I have like Chamber of Commerce had me,
Okay.
recently, and
Nice.
yeah, so I've done a little bit, yeah, but would like to grow that for sure.
Have you
So,
thought about the career day at the high school? That was coming to my mind right now. Have you
oh,
ever done that?
I haven't.
When they
So
Have you ever got one of those emails when they
probably. So I think on my phone I have like 31,000 like
Yeah, I know.
somebody
Emails.
who hates having the alerts will look at my phone and be like
I know. I just
31,000
always look at
emails.
my email. I'm like, oh, I
Yeah,
probably should read them more. But
it's
anyways,
tough. So
but yeah,
I
that
always get
would
that.
be neat because I think it comes around every January. They ask, anyone who has kids in high school if the parents want to come and do a career day and show their career and talk about their career for,
Yeah. And that
if
is
they're
a
interested in that.
that is a good idea. I would love that, because so like when I went to college,
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was going to do because I just wanted to be a mom and stay at home.
Yeah.
But I went and I got my degree in child and family studies and psychology, right? And I was like, what am I going to do with this? And I used it to put my husband through school,
Uh-huh.
and as like social work and stuff. And then he got done, and then I was a stay-at-home mom for a really long time.
Yeah.
And then when my kids were getting older and I was trying to find some solutions for some of their issues that they were dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
I looked into some extra certification, and that's where I got certified wellness practitioner, which teaches the 6 domains of wellness to your community, and then my national board of certified health and wellness coaching, to
Okay.
be able to help coach people through things that didn't even exist when I went to college,
Really?
right? And
Oh,
so
that's true. Yeah.
yeah,
I think back to I say really, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Back in my day too. I mean,
yeah,
you're probably a little bit younger than me, but anyways, back in my day, I remember that. Yeah,
yeah.
when it
So
wasn't available.
they like, I don't know. So I think it was 2018 it came out,
Okay.
the first
Yeah.
test that they've
That's
done for that. But to get certified, and to be able to, that's one that like if you work for a medical clinic, they can now use as billing. They can bill
okay.
it insurance and stuff, and they're working on a lot of progress in that
Yeah.
certification. And so that was not something that I would have picked as a high schooler because I would have not known,
Right.
you know.
Exactly.
And so like I
Yeah.
think I would teach like move forward in what you love,
Yeah.
and doors will open when they need to,
Yes.
you know.
I
and
love that.
and I feel like, I mean, how many years I've been graduated since 99? I'm not a math
Yeah.
geek, but a while. And so I'm like, that's a long time to then now have this all start coming together.
Right.
Like like your high school, what you liked, doing your college classes, being a mom, like it
Yeah.
all is just my own health journey. All
Yeah.
of that compiled has led to me doing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
so that I can help other people maybe not have to take as long in
Yeah.
some of their journey, that they're working on, cut that out. So
Wonderful. that's why you and I connect so much too, because everything you said, I'm like, that was me. I just wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and I went and got a degree in human services, specializing in youth. So I did all the psychology counseling stuff too, just like you. And then, like when Cam went, the first thing I got into with natural things was the essential oils. So Cam, my youngest, when he was 1.5, I started doing essential oils, and I started being like a wellness advocate for them. Now I just basically, buy it myself, and I don't, sell the essential oils. But anyways, yeah, slowly I started getting into all this natural things, energy work, and, things that really help naturally. So yeah, I love it. We connect so good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on today, Jill. This is
Yeah.
awesome. So where can they find you if they'd like to reach out to you?
So my website is www.bewellwithjill. So with BEE though. So
Okay.
bewellwithjill.com. And then I have an office space I just opened here in Morgan at the Farmers Insurance. I'm in their same building, just have an office there. I haven't have signs up or anything yet. So
Awesome.
yeah, I just feel like for me, I'm not trying to like advertise and like grow something that is not needed. It's just I know that there are people out there looking for an answer.
Yeah.
And when they need me, it seems like they find me, So I'm like, if there's somebody that ends up watching this, it's like, oh my gosh, this is an answer to my prayers. That's probably the person that it will actually help. Like versus just me saying, hey, you should come do an NMT, which is what I did for a long time with anybody that'd say they have anything. I'm like, well, come and I'll do an NMT for you.
Yeah.
But unless they're really wanting it because they're stuck, then I'm okay.
Okay. Awesome.
So, yeah.
That's great.
So I was going to ask you, because I know you've started some stuff with some modalities that you are using. So will you tell me a couple of those when I am doing information for people that I can refer them to you if it's something that would help them?
Sure, I would love to. Yeah. My business is called Personal Empowerment Services, and I'm a personal empowerment specialist. And so I provide ionic foot baths and aroma touches, which detoxifies the body. And then I do teach life skills and energy work.
Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
Yeah, as I'm working with people, I'll definitely make sure they know you're right here in Morgan to do that.
Yes, and same here. I will definitely refer people to you. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for being on.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us with Living Healthy with Amy Turner. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching this episode of Living Healthy with Amy Turner. If you enjoyed watching, please be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified about future episodes. If you would like to learn more, you can comment below and be sure to follow and message me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks a lot for watching and have a fabulous day.